What's up everybody, I hope you're all doing well. Today I got some Marvel Rivals gameplay for you, and this is actually my first time playing as Mr. Fantastic, and I gotta say, I like the way he moves, honestly. I didn't expect him to be a DPS, but yeah, he's a lot of fun and I really like his moveset. But anyway, let's get into the topic of today's video. So, why at your 20s are the most important decade of your life? That's quite a bold statement to make, but I feel like I've got some personal experience and my thoughts kind of to back this up. Over the past few days, I've been jotting down some notes. Whenever just something popped into my head, I quickly just expanded on those ideas. So in this video, I'll share some key points from my own journey. So for those of you who don't know, I'm still in my 20s. I'm trying to figure things out, and if you're in the same boat as me, I hope this video can help you in some way. And I just want you to know that you are not alone. And recently I've been seeing so much support on these types of videos I've been creating, and I can't thank you enough for that. It really means a lot to hear that my things that I say resonate with people, and it's really it's a good feeling. And honestly, if my videos help one person and they find it really helpful, then that's more than enough reason to keep on making these types of videos. So I'm very grateful for the support, so thank you so much for that. Alright, so let me start off with this. So I am a completely different person now to compared to when I was, let's say, 20. I've grown up, I've had experiences, both good and bad, and I've reflected on them, and all of those moments that I've experienced have really helped shape who I am today. Your 20s, it's a time when you figure out what really matters to you, passions, your values, and the kind of people that you want in your life. And over the years, my opinions have changed on so many things, and that is totally normal. And it's something that you should embrace. No one else can or should tell you who you are, and that is something that only you can decide. And this is the best time to have as many experiences as you can, because those experiences are what shapes you. Maybe, let's say you think you want to be a lawyer, you want to be the next Saul Goodman, then you finally get that internship and you realize, I don't like it, it's not for me. That's okay. Your 20s are all about exploring different paths, and you shouldn't feel like you're locked into one path. Because at this time of your life, you have this really unique mix of freedom and potential and fewer responsibilities compared to, let's say, later in your life, but enough freedom to try new things and take control of your decisions. I want to say that no one really knows who they really are, and honestly, that's okay. In your 20s, you kind of get an understanding of what you believe in, your values, your morals, passions, and you figure out what's important to you, basically. And here's the thing, those beliefs, those passions, they can and probably will change as you get older, and that's totally normal. Change is a part of growing up, and in your 20s, you should embrace that. In life, you're constantly learning and evolving. No one has it all figured out, and anyone who says they do probably don't. So if you're feeling lost, you're feeling unsure about everything, you don't know who you are, trust me, it's completely fine. You're not alone in feeling that way. What I'm saying is, have as many experiences as you can, find out who you are, find out what you believe in, and always constantly aim to learn and evolve. And moving on to my second point, I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my 20s is that you have to take risks. And even more importantly, you need to embrace the failures that come along with that. Look, you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Your 20s are the perfect time to make those big risks, whether it's moving to a new city or starting a business, pursuing something you're passionate about. Some risks won't work out, and others will change your life in the best ways possible. So I'll talk from my personal experience. So I've taken a risk that it didn't exactly go to plan. So I've got loads of tattoos, I've got a whole sleeve, and I plan on getting more, but I've had tattoos that I've got and I immediately regret them. And because I just seriously rushed into getting them done, I didn't do enough research on the designs or the artists, and I paid the price for it ultimately. And I have been spending years getting tattoo removals, cover-ups, removals for the cover-ups. It's been a mess. And it's 100% my fault. I should have spent more time thinking it through and not rushing into it and just doing my research, because now, as years have gone on, I've wasted so much time and money trying to fix this mess that I created. And for a while, I really didn't like wearing like short sleeve tops because I didn't want anyone to talk to me about my tattoos, because I was a little bit embarrassed of them at times. And thankfully that's all sorted now, and I actually really like my sleeve now, and it doesn't bother me anymore. But the lessons I've learned: don't rush big decisions. Just take your time, do your research, and really think things through before making a choice like that. But on the other hand, I've had risks that have really worked out well for me, and honestly, it's changed my life. So last year, I was in a job that I'd been at for about 3 years, and the pay was good, but the stress, it was so unbearable. I was always anxious. I was always worried about losing my job. Even though I knew I was doing a good job, I was losing sleep over it and I was just moody all the time. And it eventually started getting to the point where I just knew things had to change. But it's kind of hard when I've got a mortgage, and at the time I just found out my girlfriend was pregnant. So yeah, not exactly the easiest time to take such a big risk in looking for another job. But that is what I did. And I told my family and I told my friends that I was thinking about leaving this job and I was looking for something else. And almost every single person I told, they said it was too risky. I shouldn't do it. I've got responsibilities, got a pregnant girlfriend, and I had a lot to lose. And that is totally valid, and it is a risk. But my girlfriend, bless her, she was amazing throughout this whole time. She was pregnant, and even though she was understandably concerned, she saw how unhappy I was and really supported me in making that decision to change and take the risk of moving on from another job. I applied for loads of jobs and I actually got an interview for a completely different industry. And I did the interview, I didn't expect much. I knew it went well. But when I was actually on holiday in Japan, I looked at my emails and I saw that the job was offered to me. Now, the pay was a little bit less and it was a completely different industry. And I just remember sitting in this like English pub in Tokyo with my dad when I got the news. And I remember telling him about it. And I was just thinking, I don't know. It's such a big risk. Is this the right move? Undeniably, I was worried because I did have a good, well paid job. And this opportunity was completely unknown. And what if it didn't work out? What if I hate it even more than what I was already doing? What if I just couldn't support my family? It was such a huge decision and it was quite stressful to make. It really felt like everything was on the line. And after a lot of thinking in my head and sleeping on it, I actually decided to take the risk. So I took the job. And now, fast forward to today, I'm so glad I made that decision. I love my new job. I'm earning more money than I was before now. And most importantly, I'm not stressed out as much and I get to spend more time with my fiance and my beautiful daughter. And plus, it's really given me more time to create YouTube videos, which I'm super passionate about. So looking back, this risk, it was a big one. Like, I was so nervous about doing it. And I know that if I didn't take that leap, and if I just stayed in that miserable old job, I would always wonder, what if I took this one? What if things could be different? And I just didn't want that feeling of just staying in the comfort zone, living with regret, living with all this anxiety. And I'm really glad I took that risk. So yeah, taking risk, it's scary and not every risk is going to work out. But when you do take that chance and it pays off, it can completely change your life. And when it comes to your career and your financial freedom, your 20s are the time to really start building upon that foundation, whether that's landing your first job, figuring out what your dream career is, or finally diving into that side hustle you've been always thinking about forever. This is the decade where you make things happen. And when it comes to money, your 20s are crucial for setting up your future. It's the perfect time to learn how to manage your finances, like budgeting, saving, and even starting to invest. Personally, I don't invest too much because I'm a little bit clueless on that, so I'm not going to advise you to do that. But of course, it works out for many people. But the habits that you build now will help set you up for financial freedom down the road. I'm not financially free yet, but thanks to budgeting and living fairly thrifty, let's say, I don't stress out about money as much as, as I used to. I'm not rich by any means, but I've saved up a decent amount of money and I'm really proud of the habits that I've built and the methods that I've adopted to start accumulating more wealth and building it. For example, one thing I always ask myself, if I can't afford to buy this item twice, then I shouldn't buy it once. And that rule has saved me so much money. And I'm talking about like big purchases. So let's say when I was buying a car is, as a side note, a car is one of the biggest money pits. It is just such a waste of money sometimes. And I ended up selling my car because, well, I live in London. So owning cars in London is just way too expensive. But I just don't have the money to justify the cost because I don't use it that much. But anyway, when I was looking at cars originally, I was looking at a BMW. I was looking at an Audi. I'm not really a car guy, but these cars were really nice. And they were tempting. They were really nice. But I decided to get a much cheaper option. I don't even remember. I think it's a Dacia Sandero. It wasn't anything flashy, but it got me from A to B. And that was all I needed. In the long run, it saved me a lot of money on insurance and it just wasn't as big of an investment than owning like some luxury car, which would have been a money pit and, the constant repairs, the high insurance. I would have been just throwing money away instead of, sticking to something affordable and it works out perfectly for me. But because I thought, can I buy this Audi twice? No, I can't buy it. And eventually that's how I narrowed it down to the Dacia. I know, as I said, I'm not really much of a car guy, but hopefully you get what I mean. But If these things don't click all at once, I wouldn't worry about that. Your 20s are all about just setting up this stage. If you start building these good habits now, you'll be ahead of the game. And when you hit like 30, hopefully you would have built some wealth, and maybe you would have had a career, your finances, your goals set out, and you could still be achieving those goals. I'm not saying they're going to be achieved within a couple of minutes, but they're waiting for you. And it's all about taking action, staying consistent, and not being afraid to take that first step. So yeah, that was kind of a big one. But let's move on. Let's talk about relationships, because your 20s are they're a huge period of where you figure out, the people you want in your life. This is the decade, I would say, where you learn who you like being around, maybe who you don't like being around, who you don't really vibe with as much. You'll have some friends from, let's say, school that might stick around, whilst others will drift apart. And yeah, that can be tough, but it is a part of life. People grow, priorities shift, and that's all okay. The good news is that you'll meet new people along the way, whether that's through work, hobbies, random life moments. You'll form new connections with people, and it's all a part of the process. Now, when it comes to like romantic relationships, my best piece of advice was just don't feel pressured to have everything figured out right away. It's really important to take the time to understand what you want and what you need in a partner. Things like communication, boundaries, values, and respect, those are very important. And you're not going to figure all of that out overnight. It really takes time, it takes experience, and maybe a few wrong turns to really understand what you're looking for. And that's okay. Don't rush into things. Finding the right partner for you is a journey, and that person might not even come in your 20s. It could be, in your 30s, and that's totally fine too. In short, what I'm saying is build relationships, build friendships that really matter, because those people will bring you joy, they'll bring you growth and support, and the right people will stick around, and the ones who don't, well, that's just part of the process. What matters most is surrounding yourself with people who bring value to your life and help you. But yeah, that's just a glimpse into why your 20s are so important. There's so much I could have dived more into, and I'll definitely talk more about this in future videos if you want me to. But I really do hope you've taken something positive from this video. Please remember that you are not alone. No one has it all figured out, and that's okay. As long as you're on your right path and you stay consistent, you'll end up exactly where you need to be. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.